Thank you for joining me on this beautiful sunny day. Oh, it is so beautiful where I am right now. I feel very lucky to open this window a little bit to be in Victoria. I feel like quarantine is not as bad in Victoria as it could be other places in the world. I can still go to the ocean. I can still go outside. I just sat in the sun outside today, and it was pretty fucking magical. It was pretty awesome. So today I'm gonna get to my computer is on a ledge here, so hopefully it won't fall down. Passionate about. I feel really excited about doing this. It feels really important, especially in this time when we are encountering a lot of external forces that are telling us that we can't go outside, we can't see our friends, we maybe can't run our businesses, we can't do anything as normal. And what I would like to invite in this talk is a little bit of investigation on whether those voices can be kept at bay, and whether you can start choosing to understand yourself more and understand that every day, every moment, every second, you can make a different choice. And that choice can be made after practicing and understanding all the variables of what's going on inside your head. And so I want to offer a little bit of a framework for you to do a bit of investigation, because a lot of people talk about just think positive thoughts and just like figure out how to be positive. Why don't you just be positive? And it's like, it's not that simple. We are hardwired to look for where the danger is. We're hardwired to look at all the variables that could potentially cause us harm. And so if we have experiences that lend us to think that certain things are dangerous when we had a certain experience, we will carry that with us for the rest of our lives. And so it's not as simple as just being like, why don't you just be positive around everything? It's like, well, our minds are pretty strong, and they when they have experiences, they remember all the pieces of it, and we can forget that we have choice very easily. So I'm going to get into a little bit of the framework of how I choose to work with negative self-talk, and some of the strategies that I use to overcome this. And just to be clear too, like, I don't think this is easy. This isn't like, this isn't something that I'm gonna say like, oh, we're gonna go through this and you're gonna be all positive up. It's just gonna be super clear on in. But what I think is that healing is a process that we can we're always adding to. It's a lifelong process. And I used to think that I had to arrive at a certain level of healing, and that would like finish my journey or whatever. And what I've realized is that I need to just constantly love the process. I need to constantly soak in all of the experiences, learn from them, and just keep going, and fail and repeat and fail and repeat, and just try, and pick from all of these different people around me who have different perspectives, and just continue to learn. And so I learned a little bit about being alive on Earth. These are some things that work for me. Maybe they'll work for you, maybe they won't. But I'm just here to share and be of service, and offer what I know, and hopefully some of it's helpful to somebody. So, how to work with negative self-talk. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my Instagram. I got all kinds of videos there. My website is under construction again. I've decided to change it, but you can go there and register for a free 1-hour call. So if you like what I'm saying in this video, and you want to, I'm going to change the size of this video here. If you like what I'm going to say in this video, I'd encourage you to go to my website, meetyouredge.ca, and sign up for a free 1-hour call. I can work with you more on one-on-one. This presentation is going to be fairly general. So I'm not going to get into a lot of the details that I would normally get into with somebody one-on-one. So I'd encourage you, if you're feeling like you want some specific help on a specific mindset or something that you're going through, hit me up on my website, send me a DM, sign up for a 1-hour call, and we'll get into it. All right. So if you're listening to this, I'm going to make this a little smaller. Here. There we go. So if you're listening to this, you're tired of making excuses for why you're not doing what you should be doing. You don't like what you are saying to yourself, and you don't believe, you believe that you can change and that your reality can change. You're ready to put in the work to become who you want, and what you're doing isn't working and you need new ideas. So it's really important to understand that the framework of what I'm going to offer you won't work if you don't think you can change your mind. So if you're coming into this thinking, I'm just the way I am, I was traumatized, I was hurt, I was, all these things around me, coronavirus, my life is a mess, all these things, and I just can't handle it, that's fine. That's where you're at, but this isn't for you. This is for people who want to believe that something is different. Something can be different. And there is, I think, a really dangerous mindset that people can get into where they just believe that nothing else can change and that they're always going to be the way they are and that life is always the way it is. And I know from experience and I know from others that this is just not true. So you could choose to believe that, but you're going to have a very different life than if you believe that you can change your mind and you can change your surroundings and you can change your outlook on life. So if things aren't working for you and you want to have a few new ideas on how to move forward with your life, then this is definitely going to be for you. That's good. So why are we here? We're here to understand that we have choice around what we think. Okay, so the choice is not obvious. We think a lot, right? We're always thinking all day, every day. We're thinking about everything. And so if we had to be conscious and aware of everything we were thinking, that would feel like a lot. So it's actually good that we're not overthinking everything. But what happens is we get into this habitual mindset where we don't think at all about what we're doing. And we think that, well, I'm just living this life and this is just how it goes. And the truth is we do have choice around it, but we'll get into that more. You're here to understand that your thoughts and emotions create your habits, choices, and reality. So if you are feeling sad, you will make a different choice than if you're feeling happy. If you're feeling in love with somebody, you're going to make a different choice than if you're hating somebody. And all of those choices come from, all of the choices that you make in your physical reality come from your emotions, and those emotions are fueled by thoughts. So if you understand where the thoughts are coming from, and you understand that, oh, okay, well, this is the thought I have around this, it doesn't serve my life because it has this emotion, and then you can make a choice around changing the emotion in relation to the thought, then you can have a different reality. So it's that simple. Obviously, the process is a bit more complex and a little bit more involved. You have to put in the practice and the work to change your mindset. But ultimately, it is that simple, is understanding that there are certain stimulus in your physical reality that conjure up certain memories and emotions, and then you react to the world according to those stimuluses. And so you want to introduce awareness and presence in order to change the way that you're associating with your reality. We're here to understand that... hold on, to create a... Yeah, so we're here to understand that we're going to create a new reality, where we want to create a new reality for ourselves through our emotions. And ultimately that comes to feeling deeper love for ourselves. Like, we don't want to feel like hate for ourselves. That's not good. Like, I have a lot of friends who are depressed, anxious, have ADHD, and they just say like, oh, I just have ADHD and I'm just depressed and this is just what's going on. And in my experience, having been suicidal, having been depressed, having had moments in my life where I thought everything was fucked and I couldn't do anything anymore to do anything, I somehow have found a place out of that. And I was an addict. I couldn't control my addiction to marijuana. And I used to say, I'm just addicted to marijuana. This is how I'm going to survive. This is how I'm going to deal with my anxiety. And I know now that that's not true. If we say something about ourselves, it's going to keep rewiring our hardware. We're going to keep believing that's who we are. So if you're someone out there who thinks I'm just depressed, I'm just anxious, I'm just bad at reading, I'm just bad at all these things, you can get better at it, and you can love yourself, and you can cultivate a different reality in your mind. And we're finally here to step into good habits that keep you healthy, happy, and in a positive state. So, our habits are who we are. So if we build habits around what we're trying to do, that are small, incremental, and cultivate an awareness every single day, we can change who we are. So just a little bit of a story about who I am. What makes me think that I'm so special that I could talk about this topic? Like, why am I doing this? Well, I've been an addict, been suicidal, I've been depressed. I've lived many lives. This is a photo of me when I was a bike messenger in Montreal, and I was a very unhappy person. I loved what I was doing to a certain extent because I loved riding bikes, but my whole reality was around destroying myself because I was so unhappy. And so I hit some pretty low lows in those times. And over the last, I think it's like, wow, it's almost 8 years, 7 or 8 years. I've found ways out of spirals of depression, spirals of anxiety, and worked my way into the person I am now, where I have the hard thoughts, but I'm able to work with them. And that's really what the goal is. The goal isn't to just say, I'm going to wipe my mind clean and get rid of everything, because it doesn't work. I've tried many times. The goal here is to just get better at working with the hard thoughts that come up and create choice around them. So, I thought I'd always be depressed, anxious, and hate myself. It's true. I always thought that would be the case. I thought I'd always need marijuana and food to feel okay in my body. I was riding like an insane amount of kilometers, 500 kilometers a week. And, in the last 5 years, I was doing a lot of labor jobs that were destroying me. And the only way I thought I would feel okay was through smoking weed and eating food. And I don't do that anymore. And I thought I'd always feel sore, injured, and that destroying my body was the only way to go. So if you're someone who does labor, I feel you. Like feeling sore, it feels normal. It feels like that's just the way things are supposed to be. But I can tell you right now that you shouldn't feel pain in your body, and you can find a way to deal with it. And I thought I'd be destined to a life of labor, that I could never change my reality. So I really was stuck, and I have been stuck before in a big way. And so I'm giving you this presentation from a place of experience, not just like I'm just read some fucking books and trying to be a phony. Like I've suffered a lot. I'm just gonna check the chat box here, see if there's any. Okay, so so where do we start? Let's get to the work. Let's actually get into the nitty gritty here. Let's get and what are we actually working on? What are we working on here? We're working on negative self-talk. So we want to understand what it is. And so really specifically, like, this is really about, I don't believe in things that don't work. I want things to work. I want strategies, and I want to be able to actually take tangible steps to figure out my thing. So I'm being very literal here. What is negative self-talk? It is sentences that you're saying to yourself that limit your perspective and creates a reality that is not enjoyable, right? So there are actual words that you're saying to yourself that you need to actually identify. What are these sentences? Is it, and we're going to get into how to identify them, but um, this is something that people miss a lot. Where they go, "Oh, I'm depressed, I'm sad." Well, what are you saying to yourself? You know, "Oh, I'm ADHD." Are you? Like, who told you that? Why do you believe that? People get these prescriptive things put on them all the time. "Oh, I'm depressed." Why are you depressed? "Well, my friends tell me I'm depressed." "Oh, who else says you're depressed?" "Well, my parents said I was depressed, or and I've noticed I'm depressed, and so I just say I'm depressed." Well, okay. So if you can just say that to yourself, don't you think you could say the opposite? Don't you think it's possible to rewire your brain to the other direction? Because it sounds like your depression right now is self-identified, because there's the moment is really all you have. Depression is an attachment to the past, trauma, negative experiences. So if we can say to ourselves that we're depressed, we're in the past. So we need to be present, um, and understand that these are things we're telling ourselves that are keeping us stuck in the past. So it is a story that you're running that you didn't choose that is fueling your current habits, thoughts, and behaviors. So the unfortunate thing is, when you grew up, you didn't have choice. You didn't have choice if you grew up in a divorced household like I did. You didn't have choice if you went to your dad's or mom's place on a certain weekend. You had to just go. You had to go because your parents were saying so. You had to go to a certain school. You had to wear certain clothing. You had to hang out with certain kids in your neighborhood. You had to take part in certain sports because your parents wanted you to do that. All of these things, all of these choices that weren't made for you. They were made just at you. They were made at you, and because of that, you had certain experiences which left you with certain stories around sports. I know a lot of people who don't go to the gym because they have a negative association to athletics from their childhood, and they go, "I just don't work out because my parents pushed me too hard when I was young," and that's a loss. In my opinion, that's a loss. We gotta understand that, like, we can't lose out on love, physical activity, friendships, good relationships, healthy habits just because we did something in the past. If that were true, I would never be able to go into another relationship because I have several failed ones, and that's just, I don't want that. I want to cultivate love in my life. So just realize that you didn't choose these things, but now it's time to choose. Now it's time to make the conscious choice to let go of that fucking story, because it's not serving you. Obviously, if it was serving you, it would stick around, and you could see, oh, it's creating abundance, it's creating love. Anyways, I'm going off here. Um, so negative self-talk is a manifestation of a belief system that you didn't consciously choose. It is your unconscious mind speak through you. So same, more of the same, and it can be a traumatized mind speaking. So it's not always trauma. Trauma, I think, is a loaded word right now. I think it has a lot of validity for certain people, and I think that it's being overused to just represent programming. So sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's programming. This is my opinion. You can think what you want. This is just what I'm offering. So what do I know is possible once we understand that negative self-talk exists, that we didn't make it up, that it's not serving us. I know it's possible that we can change our association to certain people, places, things, and situations, and ultimately change our relationship to those things. And that's super key, because our negative self-talk is associated to external reactions. Like, we're reacting to our environment, and so that's creating the negativity. So if we can understand that we're reacting and stop, pause, and create a new decision, a new pathway, then we're going to start making different choices. So uh, and I know for myself, I've changed my association to food, marijuana, ex-partners, family. Family is still a tricky one. I'm not even gonna get into that one, but arguments, conflict, love. We can change these things through new experiences and through new thoughts. Um, so I know it's possible that we cannot remove the hard thoughts, right? We can't get rid of them, but we can change our relationship to the hard thoughts. Okay, and this is really key because a lot of the negativity that I know that I experience, and that the people who I work with, and a lot of the people who are my friends, they get really hard on themselves that like their mind still has the thoughts that are hard. So it's really crucial to understand that you can't get rid of it. It's a part of you. It's part of your story, right? It's part of your story. You should love it. Love it like you would a screaming baby, right? Because that's a lot of time what it is. Just love that part of yourself and know that, okay, this is now a part of me. I know it's a part of me. Great. That's like a great first step. And trying to get rid of it is just, it's self-hate. It's a form of self-hate. Trying to say that you need to change yourself completely to the point where you like erase your brain is a form of self-hate, in my opinion. We need to love every single part of ourselves and just change our association to certain things so that we can create a new physical reality for ourselves. We can find who we truly are through hard work and creativity. That's what's true. It's not, this isn't, and I say this a lot with people who are working on their body, like, this is a fucking journey you're going to have for the rest of your life. And you're going to have to work on it every single day. This isn't something you do twice a week. This isn't something you do every month, once a month. This is something you're going to do until you die. And you're going to have to learn to love it and be creative with it. And that through proactive and daily rituals, we can create a new reality for ourselves, which allows us to think better thoughts. So the more we get close to the negativity, we understand it, the more we can keep it at bay through positive and different daily rituals. So we can learn how to think better through our habits and rituals, and through our association to the negativity. Sorry, that was mashmashy. Just to erase that part. Just know that through habits and rituals, you can cultivate good thoughts. That's all I'm trying to say. Forget the last part. So, what's necessary in this step? So the first thing that we need to understand is that we can find out who we want to be and who we are if we admit that where we are at isn't working. Okay, so how do you know it's not working? You don't have what you want. Your relationships are failing or creating, they're dysfunctional. Your body is dysfunctional. Something's happening in your body, pain. You're not able to wake up with vitality. You have digestion problems. You don't have money. These things represent, they're signals. We should listen to the signals. So just admit that that's not working. Give it up. Let your ego take a hit. Whatever you did was fine up until now, but now it's not. It's not working. You have to be willing to admit that there are people, places, and activities that don't serve you and who don't serve who you want to become, and make the hard choice to remove these things from your life. Listen, the amount of times I've cut out friends, family members, left jobs, left towns, changed directions completely because I realized like this isn't working. It's not serving me. It's not creating who I want to be. So I have to let go. And the more I hold on, the more I just stay in that pain and don't actually become who I want. One sec here. Okay. So yeah, be willing to let your ego die and let the self you currently are die. So like change is, the way I see it is, it's a little bit of a death. I'm not literally dying. Like I don't think we ever lose our core center, who we are. But saying that person needs to die, for me, is freedom. Because that person had all kinds of stupid responsibilities, associated things that didn't feel good. So why would I want to be that guy? It doesn't make sense. I want to be reborn. It's like I want to give myself a break. And letting the person who's not serving you who you are as an individual right now, letting that person go and just giving yourself a break and going, listen, it didn't work, and I'm gonna let that person die. It's a relief. I the amount of times it felt just like, leaving a relationship or a job, especially where you're just like, I'm not this person. It's like, oh God, finally. Sure, there's lots of difficult challenges after that, but um, you have to admit that you have to let that person go, and I think that's one of the biggest steps. And there's a process around that emotional connection to that person that's super, super valuable to honor and connect to, but it's a necessary part to it. Um, to take risks with strong intention. So, once you let that person die, where are you going to go? Well, in my experience, once you get put your back up against the wall and you have nothing else to lose, then you can actually listen to your deep thoughts, your deep intentions. You know, Comfort and conformity and the way that people just stay in one place, I feel like it doesn't connect to who you truly are. You're just reacting, reacting, reacting. So if you give everything up, sell things, move out, change your relationship, it's a clearing. It's an opportunity to take a leap into whatever is actually being said inside of you. And that's a bit of a risk. But if you do it with intention and as much clarity as you possibly can, the intention being you want to be whoever is coming out of you, I've seen nothing but positive results. Um, to listen to what you know is actually true and not pretend like you don't know what is going on. Now, this is a big one. Like, get real with yourself. There was an episode of Duncan Trussell's podcast where he talks about how meditation is an opportunity to get real with yourself. And I so love that because like it's such a you could kid yourself for a while, um, but I think it's really yeah, if you can really just say like I fucked up, or this doesn't feel good, or I don't belong here, and you can get really real with yourself and not pretend to be somebody who you don't even want to be, that's powerful. And then finally, to use the 3 Ps. Now, I made these up. It works for me. Practice, persistence, and make it personal. So connect to the emotion. So practice, 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 practice. Going through this process over and over and over again. Refining, refining, refining. Checking your inventory. Who's in your life? What are you doing? What can you let go of? Take risk. Let things go. Let yourself die. Practice it. And you can do it in small ways, you can do it in big ways, and we'll get more into that afterwards. Practice. Persistence is like, there's going to be days where you don't want to do it. And there's going to be days like, every day I see people saying on Facebook and Instagram and saying like, just let go of trying. Just let go of trying. Don't try. It's like, I don't think this is a time to not try. I think this is the perfect time to try. Perfect. There is a time and a place to connect to your softer self. And we're going to talk about that, giving space to the processes that are necessary. But holy shit, you better try. Because the world needs you. There is so much innovation possible right now. And I think the earth is going through exactly what I'm saying. It's the ego death. And we need to take risk. We need to jump into the risk of being seen for who we are. Balls to the fucking walls. Let's do this. Okay? And then finally, make it personal. Connect to the emotion. So if all you do is practice, but you don't feel what it feels like to feel rewarded from that practice, or feel excited or grateful, it's going to be really hard. So you have to learn to enjoy what David Metzer says. You can't just do what you love. You need to start loving what you're doing. And I love that line because it's true. It's a practice to enjoy the hard work and connect it to your emotions of gratitude. Okay, so where do we start? So if you have a pen and paper out, great. If you don't, bring one out for a moment. Where do we start? Okay. Sorry, I'm going to open this up a little bit more. You want to get quiet. Okay. So this is the practice. Get quiet. So I'm talking really intensely. I'm getting at you with all this information. Action, action, action. But where it all starts is getting quiet. Spend time with yourself. Listen to yourself. What are you actually saying? What is actually being said? Because this is the thing. People think, oh, positive self-talk doesn't work and visualization doesn't work and I just put in all this hard work and it didn't work. It's like, okay, first of all, if you don't know where your target is and you don't know what you're dealing with, then you're not going to accomplish anything. It's like shooting with a blindfold on. You're not going to hit your target. You might, but fuck, it'd be really nice to take the blindfold off and know where the bullseye is and where your target is, right? So start with identifying the problem. What is the problem? Okay, if you wake up and the thought in your head is, oh, today's going to be so hard, write it down. Write that down. Okay, that's a target. Oh, my body hurts. Write it down. Okay, what's happening in the voice inside your head, and play with this. How can you sit with it? How can you lay down with it? How can you walk with it? How does it change? How does the voice flow in your day? Does it change depending on your circumstances? When is it loudest? When is it softest? You know, write it all down. Be fucking interested in yourself, because no one else is going to heal you. Okay, you're going to do the work, and it starts by identifying what's going on. So when you're getting quiet, you want to get clear with a somatic experience. So a connection to your body. What does the sensation feel like? Okay, so you wake up. You say, oh, today's going to be such a hard day. Do you feel it in your throat? Do you feel it in your face? Do you get hot? Does your body temperature change? When you're on your computer and you see some person who's more successful than you and you want to be them, where do you feel it in your body? When you're sitting down alone and all of a sudden you just get this wave of anxiety, where do you feel it? Write it down. Literally write it down. Draw a picture if you're artistic. I have tons and tons of journals filled with illustrations of little doodles of bodies, okay, that identify the sensations in my body. It was just a purging, a connection. Your body wants the connection. And if there's a memory associated to it and there's a story, write that story down. Get it out of your system. Connect to it. Get clear. Find the bullseye. And if you can't feel anything, that's okay. That's information. And I think for me, my mind goes to, who are you protecting yourself from? Because not feeling something is a protection mechanism. Okay, so if you're not feeling anything, at one point you turned off because of a reason. You don't just turn off for no reason. Same way you don't turn on for no reason. If you get aroused or excited, because of something. So if you're turning off, it's because something happened that told you that you needed to not feel in order to survive. So thank your body for doing that because it kept you safe, but figure it out. Can you say it out loud? Where's the danger? And don't worry if it sounds weird, because I have things I'm afraid of being seen. That's legit. Like, I do all this talking, I put myself out on social media. Why? Because I'm afraid of being seen. And for me to work through it, I let myself be seen. But the first time I sat down and I said to myself, I'm afraid of being seen, I felt stupid. I felt like, you stupid person. Like, why would you even be afraid of that? It's so ridiculous. But I had to do it. Clarity. Okay? So when this stuff starts flowing through you, you gotta love what comes up. This is not a place to have hate. So anything that happens, you need to literally say thank you. Thank you, 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 thank you. Like water pouring down on you in the desert. That type of thank you. Like you have been scorched by heat and you have salvation in the form of water now. Okay, this is like you want to feel gratitude for every moment that you're trying. Don't have hate. Don't do it. Understand that whatever happened and whoever told you these limiting beliefs did the best that they could with what they had. Now, this is really important because a lot of people think, okay, well, my mom traumatized me because she did this to me. Okay, and who were her parents? What did her parents do to her? Did she have the same situation as you to be able to have the insight and the time and energy to work on this? Probably not. Our parents worked harder than we did in some ways. My mom had 3 kids and divorced and worked a job and had a dog and a cat and trying to build a small business. She had a lot of shit going on, and it's not her fault. She did the best she could. So whoever traumatized you, whoever fucked you up, whoever did that, the horrible things that they did so that you have that experience of feeling not worthy, disconnected, pain, whatever, those people did the best they could. And it's that frame of mind that I feel gives me so much relief for myself and for others, and compassion. Sure, it's not consistent. I'm not always living like that. But I try as much as possible to understand that people can only do what they know. And if they don't know any better, I have to let go of my judgment of them. Especially the people who I think affected me negatively. Gotta let it go. Forgive. Let it go. It's not worth it. Spend your whole life upset. You gotta just let it go. Understand that you are only doing what you know and that it's not because you aren't good. It's just you didn't know. Okay, so this is the part that is exciting. So you find all these things that you're not good at. You find all these terrible thoughts. You find all these habits that are happening in your day-to-day. And you realize, okay, I can change this. Because I didn't know any better than before, and now I know. Now I know the negative thoughts. I know the habits. I know what I'm saying to myself. I know that it's possible to change my mind through habits. I know that it's possible to ask for help. I know I can forgive people. So understand that you're only doing what you knew and that you can change things now. So if that thought comes up and it goes, oh, but like I could have done better, but you didn't. You didn't because you didn't know. But now you know. That feeling is an awareness of what to do next. So write down what you want to do if you don't want to do that thing. You're learning. This is great. This is all good stuff. Just don't be hard on yourself. So what resists will persist, right? This is really, and this is where the action, the inaction, or the getting closer. Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts here. Let me rephrase that. Before taking action, getting clear on what's going on is so important. And so you can try to fight the feeling, but I don't see that working. In my experience, it's not worked. It's led me to addiction. So don't resist it. It'll persist. Give the hard feeling all the space it needs. Make it your mission to create that space. Be obsessive, persistent, set boundaries, take charge, own this, that it needs to be done. It needs to be done, right? So the only way we do things is if we take action. The doing is action. So we need to understand that You need to take the steps to make that happen. So that means taking a day off work, which everyone has days off work. If it means clearing your schedule, if it means telling your roommates I can't talk to you today, if it means telling your parents I'm turning off my phone for a few days, if it means cutting people out, like, do it. Your healing, the healing of the collective depends on your healing. We are all connected. You are a better person if you set this up right now. The better you know something, the easier it is to work with. The fear of the unknown will paralyze you. Okay, so usually what happens is I don't want to spend time with this because it's scary. And so you don't spend time with it, and then it'll paralyze you, create all kinds of weird relationships in your life, and then you won't take action. You'll keep reliving the same situation over and over and over again, and then you'll just be like, oh shit, I still have this negative thought, my life sucks, I feel shitty, blah 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 blah, spiral spiral spiral. It's usually not as scary when you get close to it. And I love, there's a meditation, you can look it up online, there's a Pema Chodron meditation on YouTube. Pema Chodron, Pemachhodron. She does a meditation, a visualization, where you take the ugliest part of yourself, the worst, like, I don't even want to say my worst because it's embarrassing, but I have some bad thoughts, and I've worked with this meditation before. And you pretend that it takes up the whole space in your room. You actually make it bigger. You make it the size of your room. You make it the size of your house. You make it the size of your neighborhood. You let it just fucking grow. You just watch it. Just let it grow and watch that terrible thought. You give it all the space it needs. See what happens. For me, I cried a lot. Yeah, and that great. And it released something. I did it a few times, for specific thoughts. Okay, so we're getting in the last 5 slides here. Thank you to whoever is tuned into this. This is I know I'm going deep here, but I don't really see any options. I don't want to live a shitty life, and I don't want my friends to live a shitty life, and I want everyone else to be happy. So this is the work. This is what it looks like. So your habit ecosystem. Right now, what you do is in relation to all the other things you do. The things you don't want to do is a reaction. The thing you don't want to do is a reaction, where what you want to do is take action. Ugh, that's a really convoluted way. I can't believe I wrote it that way. Of saying that you don't want to react, you want to take action. So reaction will lend you to more unconscious behavior. So yeah, we're gonna. I misworded that one. We're gonna skip that one. Take stock of your day. What does your day actually look like? Where and when do you hear these thoughts the most? Do you have a moment where you want to feel it? Do you have a moment where you don't want to feel it or hear negativity at all? What are you doing in that moment? Write it all down. So, like I said before, get specific. If it's your mornings, write about your mornings. But what I'm trying to say about the ecosystem is that everything is interconnected. Like when I quit smoking weed, like my relationships changed, my finances changed, my jobs changed, my perspective of my body changed, like everything changed. So don't expect to just change, okay, I want to get active, I want to be fit, and then just like work out a little bit and like it's gonna fit, you're gonna become the fittest person. If you have specific goals around something like mindset or physical activities or relationships, there's an ecosystem that's necessary for you to thrive in that way, right? So right now you're thriving at doing some of the things that you're doing that are not very helpful and not very productive. So understanding the whole picture helps you make more choices, because they're all connected. So if you get up at a certain time and you eat a certain breakfast and you talk to the same person and you go to the same job and you do all these things the same way, the way you're going to do the way you're going to change your morning isn't necessarily just changing what time you wake up. That's part of it. But maybe you don't talk to anyone in the morning. And maybe you don't eat before you go out, and you go for a run before you eat. And maybe you listen to a podcast instead of your friend. And maybe you meditate after you come home instead of looking at your phone. So it's not as black and white as just saying, I'm going to do this one thing and it's going to change everything. It's a whole collective decision of decisions. Write it all down. What are you doing in your day? It'll be revealing. You'll be shocked. So there's two ways to make change. One is drastic, big change. One's tiny, incremental. So there's different people, different needs, different plans, different strategies. But both work. But the main thing is you need to be emotionally connected to the process. You need to have an emotional desire. You need to have, for me, I've had enough. That feeling of I had enough helps me get moving. Love for something, curiosity, both are curiosity and I've had enough feel very similar because I've let go, I've let a part of myself die, and now I have to get curious. I want to get curious. So both of those feel connected to me. But figure out what you need. Maybe you need to literally drop everything and end your relationship and quit your job and leave school and join the circus. Like, it might be what you need. You just have to listen to yourself. You have to ask the questions. The tiny incremental changes are super valuable if you're going through depression and anxiety. Because the big drastic change when you're already anxious, it can work. I've seen it work, but it can take a toll. The upkeep afterwards, the things that you have to deal with afterwards, sometimes can feel like too much. So tiny incremental is really, really valuable tool to prove to yourself that you can change. So if you prove to yourself 100 times in a week, you change one decision. So instead of buying 3 bags of chips, you buy 1. Instead of going to the grocery store every day, you go every 2 days. Instead of not calling back your friends, you call them back once. Instead of getting up at 8 o'clock and running out the door to school, you get up at 7:30 once in 1 week or twice. These are proving yourself. You're priming your brain. You're creating these new pathways that you can create a different reality for yourself. You just need to keep doing that, and the bigger choices will come. It's a practice. So here's another exercise that you can do. You can cultivate a new ecosystem through writing out the exact opposite of what your negative thoughts are saying and put it on your wall near your bed. It's like advertisement, women and men, we've been programmed to be certain ways because of advertising. A lot of people, I think, wouldn't wear makeup if they weren't exposed to it. A lot of men probably wouldn't act a certain way if they weren't exposed to sports and manly advertisements. This is our environment has created a lot of the things that we're doing. So create your own advertisement, create your own billboards. Say you love yourself. Have a big sign that says, I love myself over your bed. Write out the values that you really, really want to call in every single day. This is super, we forget that we're a product of our environment. Put it in your space. On my mirror here, I have literally a whole human-sized mirror here. You can see. It's all writing. Okay? I'm writing down everything that I want to see in the world. So that when I get up, I'm looking at it and it shows me who I am. Listen to people who are supportive, loving, inspirational, especially before bed in the morning. So if you're alone a lot, start choosing your media more selectively. Morning time inspirational videos. Go on YouTube. Just start listening to find one that works for you. Sometimes they're really sports related. Or find podcasts. Listen to your podcast in the morning. Learn in the morning. Feels really good. Feels really good. Love the little tasks that have nothing to do with your thoughts. Keep your space organized. So the ecosystem that you live in, if it's not organized and you're not creating order, your brain's not going to be orderly. So just being really mindful of your environment, and keep the things that can be simply dealt with, that have nothing to do with your emotional body, but I mean they're deeply connected to your emotional body, but you don't have to do the hard work to do them. Do your dishes before bed. Sweep your floor every day. Organize your things before you go to bed. Helps a lot. Okay, so I'm going to go over this again. What does this actually look like? You want actual concrete things to go into your day. Listening to podcasts in the morning. Go find 6 podcasts. Download them. Listen to them in the morning. Spend the first hour of your day listening to something that's interesting, fascinating, creates curiosity. Spending 30 to 60 minutes to an hour listening alone to your body with a journal. That's, if you want to get to the root of your stuff, give your own space. Give yourself space. We go pay therapists to give us space, but we can learn how to listen to ourselves and give us the same amount of care that a therapist or a counselor would, or a coach or anything like that. I did all this stuff myself. I'll rephrase that. I had a lot of help, but I was not in a financial position to get a lot of therapy. And so I took whatever tools I used in therapy and I continued to cultivate ways of doing it on my own. So it can be done. You just need to be aware of what's going on. Posters on your wall, like I said before, create your advertising. Actually saying nice things to yourself out loud. Get up in the morning and say, "I'm fucking awesome." Or it's, when you're taking your morning shit, just be like, "Wow, this is a great shit. I'm the best at shitting." Celebrate yourself. Do things. Say it. It's part of the advertising, right? Connecting to people who are doing what you want to be doing. You often can feel limited if you don't know that there's something else possible. So connect to people who are better than you at the things that you want to be good at. See it, follow it, connect to them. Even if they're really famous or better in ways that seem intimidating, try. And just, if you can't connect to them physically or talk to them, find their media, spend time with what they're saying. Hygiene, sleep, prioritize self-care. It's like, it seems ridiculous, but the amount of people who don't clean up their room and don't get regular sleep and don't prioritize, cleaning themselves and working out, and like, this is what life is. You need to stay healthy. You need to make it your priority. Cutting out friends, families, jobs out of your life. Just make the hard decisions. If a family member is creating a lot of intimidating feelings in you, and you feel like they're not lending you to be the most powerful version of yourself, cut them out. Like, this is they're just a person. I really believe that we have given too much agency to the family, in the sense that if they're actually keeping you from being your authentic self, I think that's a really damaging thing. We need everybody to be who they want to be and who they need to be. And I'm not saying cut them out permanently and like throw away lock the door and throw away the key, but understand that they're a part of your environment. And so until you can cultivate a different relationship to them and their behavior, it's not healthy to keep being exposed to that. You can change your way of relating to them. The same way with friends, exes, jobs, you can create new relationships to them, but overexposing yourself and hoping it's just going to work out and that you're just going to love them and they're going to love you, it's just not realistic in my opinion. It hasn't worked for my friends. It hasn't worked for me. And then practice, 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 repeat, try, fail, over and over and over again. Oh, is this? Oh. Okay, so why is this not working? Sorry, my thing is not working here. Huh. Okay, actually, it's the last one. Oh, the counter didn't. All right, it said 13 on 16, but that was actually the last slide. Um, so if you have any more questions about this, I know I went into a lot. You can ask a question now while I'm online. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And I know that there's a bit of a lag with this thing. Last time I saw a whole bunch of questions and comments before or after I ended the video, so I'm sorry if I can't see it. But just, I mean, I'll throw this up online too. There's a lot of information in here, and I know my wording is a little bit funny, but I'm a very action-oriented person, and you know, I'm all about listening and softening and creating that awareness, but it has to be coupled with action for me, because we need things to be different and we need people to build new realities. So I really hope that some of you gain something from this. And if you have any questions, send me a message on the FB, on the Instagram, and I'd be happy to spend some time with you. Again, I'm offering 60-minute phone calls if you want to work one-on-one and for free. So, you know, there's no obligation there. You can just chat and we can work through something specific or a specific thing that felt confusing for you in this presentation. I wish you lots of well. It's beautiful outside. It's Sunday, sunny Sunday, and I really believe we're doing great. Thanks for joining me.